Well, hello and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Berry.
And I'm wearing my Tottenham shirt. I'm pretty depressed at the moment because we're recording this on Tuesday and we're currently losing 5-2 away to Atletico, which we won't talk about too much. We'll try and focus on FPL. And yeah, before we go into the format for this week, we're doing something slightly different. Stephen, how did your last game week go? I know it's been a while.
Yeah, I got 70 something points. I'll just double check now. I got 71, which is pretty good. Captain
Mm.
Salah, which worked out for me. Palmer, Timber, and Gabriel, of course. Didn't start Douglas Luiz, which was painful. But I got 71 points. But yeah, I just want to reinforce what Barry said. There's obviously some elephants in the room, but we're not going to go down the obvious route of content. We consider ourselves, not a second tier podcast. We're not going to relegate ourselves to any of these easy cheap shots, and we're going to focus on the Premier League and FPL in particular.
Fucking hate you, honestly. Why would you bait me like that? I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that bait. I'm not that easily rattled, and I'm on the alcohol freeze tonight. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
But how did you do, Barry?
Well, as is usual with us, when you do well, I do terribly. And I got 46 points. The big surprise is obviously Roof's not playing. And
And his
Sells
replacement got a
playing.
big haul as well, which is very annoying.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a bit of a weird game week in a lot of ways. Um, yeah, I don't really know what's set. I mean, Enzo not getting anything in a 4-1 win against Villa. Me benching Truffle at points, but he luckily came off the bench with 8 points. Gabriel, my highest scorer, with 11. I captained Haaland. Probably should have done Bruno. He could have easily hauled. Biggest disappointment though is Ryland, who I brought in after his various returns, and he's done nothing since I've had him. So I am itching closer to the wild card now that we know
Mm.
what the FA Cup is saying. But I think I probably will wait one more week until we have the Champions League information, which obviously is happening tonight and next week. And then that will help, Ben Crellin form his spreadsheets and therefore work out a route for us in terms of what we're going to do for the preceding weeks. But we won't talk too much about that. What we're going to do this week, obviously, as you know, dear listeners and viewers, fans, we do our banker, middling, and rogue at the end of each of our podcasts. And what we decided to do this week is, seeing as we have 8 game weeks to go, we're going to do a banker, middling, and rogue of teams and see how that affects your choices going forward and what sort of players and teams we should look to target. Because let's be honest, the flip flops are going on. Despair and hope is being shared around pretty evenly, and the title race is hotting up. So it's a really interesting time in the season because it's not necessarily about individual players; it's about what teams have what motivations. So that's what we're going to be talking about this week. Yeah, so if you're looking at a long-term planning, this is the podcast for you. But Stephen, why don't you kick us off? Talk to
Yeah.
me about your banker team for the rest of
Uh,
the season.
my banker team is Arsenal, but I want to talk about something. My
Uh,
banker, to categorize it as a shout, is Arsenal to only concede maximum 4 more goals until the end of the season.
wow.
So they've got 8 games left. They blank, I think, in 31, I think it
They do.
is.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, 31. So they blank. So coming up to game week 30, game week 31, they blank, which is annoying, but especially as Man City blank that game week as well. But they're going to keep, I think they're going to only concede 4 goals max. And bear in mind, they're going to the Etihad. There's a chance that 2 of them might be there. You have to have Gabriel. You have to
Mm.
have Timber. It's just completely non-negotiable. I don't know why people were selling Timber. To be honest with you, maybe they didn't want to have double Arsenal defense with the blank.
Maybe it's a
I don't.
sideways move to Gabriel.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you have both? I mean, considering that Arsenal's goal scorers have been really scattered around, it's not like you're going to have a Saka
Mm.
and a Gyökeres, are you? Or a
True.
Saka and Eze or whatever, right? Maybe people have Raya. Maybe that's why. But again, I don't really. I
Yeah.
said this all season. I don't really see the point in having the Arsenal goalkeeper. But yeah, my banker is Arsenal are not going to concede a lot of goals. They're Everton at home, Bournemouth at home, the Etihad, Newcastle at home, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Burnley at home, Palace. I mean, the last four
It's a pretty
games,
nice run. Yeah, it's a pretty nice run.
yeah, Fulham will just. unbelievably beached by then. I know they're playing Arsenal; they'll be looking to get a move across into North London, but I don't think any of their players are going to do that now. West Ham we'll get to later. What they might have something to play for them, but maybe not. Burnley will be gone by game week 37, and Palace will have given up
Yeah,
4 weeks
wow.
ago. Before that, maybe they've given up
Yeah,
now. Um,
yeah.
and I mean, let's see. But either way, Arsenal aren't going to concede a lot of goals. What does that mean for the title? I don't know. But that's why I'm not saying anything more. I'm not saying that. But my banker is Arsenal aren't going to concede more than 4 goals from now to the end of the season, which will put them on 26, I think, conceded overall. And that's my banker. So, and in short, you have to have Gabriel, you have to have Timber. No, whatever you do, just have those two and go from there.
Yeah, so I'm never a big fan of the double defense, and I think when you think about the amount of value that's in the midfield at the moment, I think you can afford to do that. But I think for where I want to take my team, I think I'm probably just gonna when I do wild cards, I am just gonna go Gabriel from Arsenal. I don't think I'm gonna go with anyone else because I just think in terms of attacking returns, in terms of Defcons, all around the pitch, he's a real superstar, and an FPL hero in a lot of ways. And given the fact, he must be up to 7 million now. I think to have him
Probably.
as a 7 million defender, and then Timber at six, probably some 6.2, 6.3. I think it's just a bit too rich. I think if I was to go double Arsenal defense, I'd rather go with Raya, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a cheaper way into the defence, and if they do get a clean sheet, it's an easy 6 points. I don't see Timber getting that many attacking returns between now and the end of the season. I think they're going to be focusing
Really?
purely on that defence. He's not high in the defcons. If you look at his defcons across the season, he's not there. Um,
No.
so I mean, I like Declan Rice, and his corners are unbelievable. And of course, he's playing in set piece FC, so maybe that makes sense. So let me put it this way: if I wildcard into game week 31, that means I'm probably going to have to put Haaland on the bench if I keep him and Gabriel on the bench, right? Which means I'm choosing one other player for Man City or Arsenal, right? I think I'd rather go the extra Man City player over the extra Arsenal player.
So if you look, so Arsenal have conceded 22 goals. Man City have played a game less and conceded 27. Right, I checked the prices. Timber is only 300k more than Raya. Raya is 6 million. He's 6.3.
Yeah.
Is 300k worth it for somebody who has a better chance than a goalkeeper of getting assists, of getting defcons, and everything else?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. Interestingly, some people say to me, "Well, he's got 26 more points, but Timber's been out. He's been injured. Raya's played every week." Like, it's you just have to have Timber and Gabriel. I think I hear your Man City have conceded more, and I don't know if you're going to talk about Man City, but I guess the Nottingham Forest game, and yeah, Haaland should have had a penalty. One of the weirdest non-penalty decisions I think I've
Yeah,
ever
yeah, it was
seen.
ridiculous. Ridiculous,
Yeah,
honestly.
people have got it wrong though. People were saying on Twitter that it's corruption, so Man City don't win the league. They're incorrect. It's corruption so that Forest would get a point. So there is corruption, but it's not targeted towards Man City
Yeah.
or not Man City. Anyway, we move on. So nevertheless, Arsenal have a better record than them. And
Yeah.
I think the third best defense is Everton. So
Yeah.
fine,
That's not
Everton
surprising.
wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but they're still conceding more than a goal a game. So,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest with you, I'd rather have the DEFCON machines, like a Dan Ballard, for example, at Sunderland. Given
Yeah,
that,
yeah. No.
So,
No.
but I think
I
clean
appreciate.
sheets are at Arsenal, and I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna get at least 4 more, probably more. To be honest with you, and that's a lot of points having double Arsenal defense. If they didn't have the
Yeah,
blank, you could even argue a triple up.
I think it's just more for players that want to go heavy in the midfield and have a Haaland or Salah. Like, I don't think you can really afford to have that double expensive defense. And I think that on an output basis, I'd rather go on the attack rather than defense. That's just me as a
Fair enough.
player, as an FPL player.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
fair
where I
enough.
sit. And I don't think that's anything wrong with any players that do that. I think it's perfectly reasonable. It's just that week where they do concede two, or they do concede one, or they do concede like a little shit goal, a
Mm.
deflection of someone's thigh, and they all happen, right? It just means that week's going to be crap, and you're going to take a massive rank dive. So, look. this is the risk, this is the reward of FPL. And I guess the fallacy for me is I'll be praying for a clean sheet at Arsenal every week because I've got Gabriel. So, well, obviously, we talked about Arsenal. I think Arsenal are a good team. I think it's a reasonable banker. I think most people will have an Arsenal player. Like I said, I'm going to stick with Gabriel. My banker is Liverpool.
This is
And you would have
interesting.
thought that, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, right? So, okay, I'm basing this on one interview, which is this podcast, and it's brilliant for that basis, where Virgil van Dijk, said in this interview, this club cannot finish outside the Champions League.
He did say that.
Cannot. He didn't say, oh, we're going to try our best. He said, he put his nuts on the line and said, we cannot. It is not possible. It is not within the fabric of this club. And I think that, when you think about what Liverpool are trying to be, think about they won the title last year. They're trying to be title challengers next year, no doubt. No doubt they've got loads of headroom supposedly on FFP, so they're going to invest big in the summer as well again. And then you've got, such a depth of talent in so many different areas. Like when Liverpool do put it together, they are pretty phenomenal. Now, yes, they have just lost to Wolves. This is why it's a slightly
they were unlucky though in that game. To be fair, as much as they were unlucky.
I think so. And then they went back down there for the FA Cup and spanked them. So they got the reward. But anyway, I mean that's the way of football. But so because Virgil said that they cannot finish outside of the Champions League, which we think will be the top five, right? They're currently sixth, 48 points, 9 goal difference. In favour, 114, drawn 6, lost 9, scored 48, and conceded 39. Right? They are really not far off those top 5 places. They are they're in the same number of points as Chelsea, who are fifth. Villa, who are an absolute free fall, on 51. Then you got Man United on 51, and obviously the Man City and Arsenal above them. So realistically, and Chelsea have their wobbles. Chelsea are kind of all over the place. Not sure what to make of them, to be honest. So there's a really good chance they could get in there, which means A, as I mentioned, they have hope, and B, they have the motivation. And because of these two things together as a guiding force, I think it makes them a team that is really attractive from an FPL perspective. But yeah, I think it's a team that we should all be investing in, and I think going for a double is perfectly reasonable. But before I mention players that I want to talk about in there, Stephen, can you tell me who's top for their FPL points?
Ekitike.
No, Virgil. Ekitike is second, and third. Can you guess third?
Szoboszlai.
No, it is Gravenberch. Salah
of course,
is fifth.
yeah. He had
Salah
a good
is
start,
fifth
didn't he?
for midfielders. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, he pops up with a bit. Salah's fifth for midfielders, but obviously he went to AFCON. So, look, I think Ekitike is a must. He just get him in your team. I think about the same number of players own Ekitike and Virgil. It's about 34% for both players. I think it's perfectly reasonable to own both. I know you have your feelings about Virgil, but he does pop up the odd goal. He's clearly on that basis, churning through quite a few points. He's going to have to lead this team from the front, in such a way to get them together, because they play like strangers sometimes that have never played together. But they're a very creative team. I think Szoboszlai is a perfectly reasonable shout at 6.7 million. If you're on Enzo, I think that's a perfectly reasonable switch. They're about the same price. So yeah, I think 2 Liverpool players is a must. I would go for 2 attackers, but if you really want a defender, I would go for Virgil as the defender.
I'm really surprised at this, because if you were looking at teams around that end, you'd probably say Man U. Man U look a lot more cohesive. They have no distractions.
Yeah, but there's only one player you want from Man United. There's only one player.
That is the problem with Man U, though. Other than Fernandes, who everyone has, who do you want? They're just as expensive. But I think that that there you'd probably look for more of the value, I suppose. But on Liverpool, again, the players none of them are cheap. Ekitike is 9, is he now?
9.1, yeah, 9.1, yeah.
But I think, and I don't. I think Liverpool will be okay. I think they probably will get into Where are they? They're 6 or something. I think they
They're
probably
six, yeah.
will. Let's have a look. So we've got Villa, Chelsea. They're 6. They need to get 5th. Okay, probably they probably will get Champions League by not doing much anyway. They were awful against Galatasaray just now.
Yeah.
And Galatasaray's team is the most rejecty Premier League team. Oh God, they have some weird players. Galatasaray, yeah, just don't look convincing. I can't remember the last time I watched Liverpool and I thought, wow. The only person who would be potentially interesting is I don't pronounce the name, but Maguire, the young lad, Rio. So he didn't start tonight, and the Liverpool fans are going mad, saying this guy must be starting, and he's 4.3 million. So if someone needs a bit of a punt, and if you need to save money, he's very,
He's
very
not
tempting.
starting though. I mean, he did hit the post against Wolves. Like, and I get it.
I think he's going to start coming into the team. I think there's enough clamour around him. It's a risk. But there's enough. I think there's enough clamour around him now that he's going to start making more of an appearance. It's a gamble, but he's also 4.3 million. So
yeah,
you can deploy him accordingly.
I would love that. I mean, he's a midfielder as well, so 4.3 million is a pretty attractive price if he does start getting a run in the team. I think, like I said, and how I set up at the beginning of the pod, was I'm putting it through 2 metrics. Do they have hope, and do they have motivation? And I think that they have the hope because Aston Villa are an absolute freefall. Chelsea are inconsistent. Man United they're on a good run, but you know how things can fall apart there quite quickly. So they've got the hope, right? And they've got the motivation. We know they have the motivation just purely on that interview alone. So that's the reason why I'm interested in their players. Okay. And I think that I on a wild card, and definitely if they have that double, I probably would go Ekitike and Szoboszlai. Because Szoboszlai is a DEFCON monster. I mean, sometimes he gets 20 plus DEFCONs in a game, and it's just like, and he's got an absolute wand of a boot. It's ridiculous. He definitely crops up with stuff. He just seems to be almost a complete midfielder, and he's kind of come out of nowhere in some regard. Because I kind of thought he was a decent signing, but I didn't think he was anything special.
He's definitely on the breakout season.
For sure. And so I think that I think in all the obvious players there, I mean, you mentioned Man United. I think you have to own Bruno and Mbeumo to get a proper good return from owning Man United players if you were going to go for a double.
Sesko, is he going to get more of a run in the team, I think?
I said Sesko a couple of weeks ago and you laughed at me. And he is starting to crop up now. The goal he scored in the header.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Like it just shows that there clearly is a player in there. I think that his price next season will be really interesting. Like if he was 6.5 next season, or even 7, I think he'd be very interesting. But we know how Man United fall apart in the next season. So But anyway, so that's the reason why.
Let's quietly disagree on that one. I would say, but I do hear your point. Let's talk about my middling. Just it has finished in Europe. Newcastle drew in the end, swapping 1-0 up. Did finish.
Oh, that's a shame.
Atletico 5, Tottenham 2, and then Atalanta pulled one back to give themselves hope against Bayern 6-1. My middling shout. It's about West Ham, and it's that West Ham will stay up. I think they're going to finish above quite a few teams. I think they're going to finish above Leeds. I can't believe these words coming out of my mouth, by the way. I genuinely, but I'm going to keep going. I think they're going to finish above Leeds. I think they're going to finish above Nottingham Forest. And I think they'll finish above some other teams as well. So, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but West Ham had a good January transfer window. You could have offered me odds of 1,000,000 to 1. I would not have taken that bet. They've signed, obviously, that, again, I can't remember his name, but the guy from the Italian league. He's a West Ham striker, but with a bit of effort. Yeah, and then they signed the other one from Spain. Is it Pedro or Pedro? He's actually looks quite good. He got injured, but they signed 2, at the very least, hard-working strikers. I think Pedro's actually going to be
Tati is the striker, and Pablo.
Tati and Pablo. Sorry, not Pedro. Pablo. There we go. Pablo. Apologies. But they both look good.
Mm.
Fernandez is just looking better every game for them. I watched Brentford West Ham. Yes, it was FA Cup, but Bowen was excellent. Bowen was really, really like he looked absolutely as in like get him on the plane for the World Cup sort of good.
Yeah.
Hermansen has gone from being the worst goalkeeper in the league to decent. Decent, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but like, and then Desai, what a signing! I mean, we actually praised
Yeah.
him at the
Great
time
signing.
for that one.
Yeah.
We were a bit like, was all the ones that Chelsea had? Was he the one to go? But anyway, that's not West Ham's problem. They just look a different team, and they have momentum. They really, really have momentum, and you just look at them. They look like they know they're staying up. They don't
Yeah.
like before, like when they lost to Wolves, for example. Like there, that did not look pretty. Like they
Yeah.
looked absolutely like that they. It's like honestly, it's like a completely different team. And fair play, look, West Ham board get a lot of criticism, but I honestly think they're fine. I really, really do. I think they're going to go above Leeds by the end of the season and Nottingham
Oh, that's
Forest.
bold. That's bold.
I really do. I mean, that's why it's a middling one. What's middling one? Because as you can hear, I'm quite bullish. The reason why it's
Mm.
middling, they are only one or two injuries away. If
Yeah.
Desai,
Yeah.
let's
If
say
Bowen
Desai
gets
gets
injured, they're
injured,
fucked. Really.
or but I don't know if I actually. Do you know what? It won't obviously won't help, but Somerville's been great for them as well. I think it's more Desai and Fernandez, the midfielder.
Okay. Interesting.
And then if they lose both the strikers as well, I think an energetic number 9 has really given them something. Um,
Mm.
yeah. But that being said, like they need to keep the team. They're obviously through to the FA Cup quarter final, but they've got Leeds at home. So they don't have to worry about that. But
It's a good
which is
chance. It's a
actually
good chance of them making the semi-finals.
good chance for both of them, right? Yeah, good chance for both of them. But
Yeah.
again, like it's only three. There's max extra 3 games. FA Cup final is going to be ridiculously late anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a distraction really for them. There aren't many
Yeah.
games
Agreed. Agreed.
left.
Agreed.
Yeah, they look honestly. They just look a different team. They have momentum. The players look to be enjoying themselves. The fans are like the penalties they got against Brentford were ridiculous. Where has this come from? Like, who is this West Ham team? I honestly don't, like. It's yeah.
Yeah.
They just look good. The wind is in their sails. Again a caveat. Their running is difficult, but I don't think they fear that running anymore.
It's really hard.
Um,
It's really hard. Yeah, but I think a lot of those teams will be on the beach pretty soonish. So, I mean, they've got Man City
they have City
next.
next, Villa again, Wolves, Palace, Everton. Brentford by that point, who knows? Arsenal obviously bad for them. Newcastle will be beached, and then they end at Leeds on the last day of the season. Both of
And
those teams will be hoping,
both teams could be fine by then. So it could just be a big old
yeah,
party.
or
I
not,
wouldn't be surprised.
or both
Well,
of them.
or not.
I don't know.
Yeah, true,
So
true.
the run is difficult, but again, they just have momentum. From Leeds
Mm.
downwards, they look the best to me currently, and I think they're going to keep that momentum to the end of the season.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think that Bowen's impact though in that team is more significant than I think you're giving credit for because
Mm.
like yeah, Desai has been a great signing. But I mean, if they lose Bowen, it's the player that most defenders are worried about, if that makes sense. So, like, players will be going right when they're doing the preparation all week. Right, shut down Bowen, and that gives space for Somerville, Tati, and all these other players coming into the picture. So I think that he provides a good outlet, not just from an attacking perspective of like scoring goals and creating goals, but in terms of being inside the defenders' heads, being a threat, being an issue, being like just I imagine he's a really annoying player to play against. Like he must be like a terrier of a player, just runs around like a mentalist, and you just like, where have you gone and why are you going there, crazy man? So I think that's what I mean by how significant Bowen is, because if Bowen gets injured and he's out for the rest of the season, like Somerville doesn't have that same gravitas.
Sure.
Fernandez is a good player, but that's not his role. Tassi, he's still finding his feet. So that's why I think he'd be the most significant. But yeah, I agree with you. They do look great. Wolves, on the other hand, I mean, I wasn't going to go this far, but Wolves look very good. And I think they might finish top of the relegated zone is where I think they might finish. That's how badly I think about Tottenham, but we'll get onto that later.
Yeah.
I just think that out of those, West Ham look pretty good, and I think that they look Premier Leaguey. They look like they've got their shit together. But if you were to go and invest in their play, I mean, would you invest in their players? But Bowen's
Yeah,
7.5 million. It's so expensive.
but again, like Haaland's gone a bit off the. So obviously, important to remember that he's a forward in the game.
Yeah,
He's fourth for forwards. Haaland's gone off the ball. João Pedro is just unbelievably frustrating.
annoying.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I sold him
like,
before that 2 weeks before that 19-pointer. Ridiculous.
yeah. So Thiago Brentford is. I guess you'd hold him, but Ekatike maybe, Calvert-Lewin maybe, Watkins no, Raul no, Gokares probably not. Danny Welbeck, Shesko, Evan Nielsen, Voltemade, Mateta, Richarlison, Barry could be. In other words, forward. Okay, I've gone all the way down to Nuentra at Leeds. Fleming, like Strand, like come on, like
Yeah.
why not Bowen? Like, is he better than any of those players I've listed out? Probably.
Is he okay?
I mean,
Let me put you a different way. Is he better than Declan Rice as an FPL asset?
probably not. But again, I
Same
don't.
price.
I get.
And Declan Rice is more likely to get DEFCONs, more likely to get
But you have to have
bonus
three
points.
you have to have three forwards there. And if you're not doing Haaland, which I think a few people are going away from now, then why not have him basically?
I just think because of his cost and where it detracts funds from elsewhere. And look, I know what you're saying about Haaland, but ultimately, if they're going to win the league, he's going to have to score a hatful of goals. So it's just not even in. I don't think it should be in anyone's thoughts to get rid of Haaland. I think the only reason why you would is if you wanted to afford someone like a Salah. And even then, do we trust him to be doing well for the rest of the season? I don't know. So
It's terrible tonight.
look, if I did sell Haaland, I think that would free up a lot of funds in elsewhere. So I think looking at Bowen would be very cool, very interesting. But at the same time, like you said, let's take it the other way. Let's say Fernandez gets injured, right? And then he has to do a lot more defensive work. Like, I mean, I think it's just too much. It's too much of a stretch for me. But having said all of that, if I was to go for any of their players, I would go for Doof. But I just don't know whether I'd be confident of starting him ever. That's the thing. You buy him and then he'd be on your bench.
I'd go for this side. So he's. I just looked at it. He got 6, -2, 6, 2, and 6. So, something. Yeah, and also I think he's going to get. I think he's going to get a lot more points. He's looking more of a leader.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why, because Juve doesn't go as forward as much as he does under Potter. He's not quite the same fullback as he was at the start of the season. So Desai for Defcon and things like that is more appealing. But yeah, West Ham are my middling shout. What's your middling shout, Barry?
Well, let's talk about another team in East London, shall we? I really didn't want to talk about Tottenham because they just make me sad. I genuinely think we're going to get relegated. I don't see a route out of it. I think that the hiring of Tudor is the roguest appointment I think I've ever seen from a team in the bottom half that are fighting a relegation. Like, if they gave it to Ryan Mason for the rest of the season, that would be less rogue, right? Like, and
Sean Dyche was available as well. Yeah.
Sean Dyche. I mean, honestly, I would have taken that, because he would have got us at least playing, defensively, got us ordered. Like, it just seems like none of the players have. I mean, I said this a couple of weeks ago. Like, none of these players have ever experienced a relegation battle before. No. They have no idea how to deal with the pressure. No idea. So, like, for me, the fact when Van der Ven pulled back Sarr, that was clearly a player that was just rattled beyond belief. Rattled. There was no need. I think there's a good chance he doesn't get to that ball anyway. And I think that, you watch the playback, he's done you. Okay, but just go and back it up on the goal line and hope the goalkeeper's quick enough to get out there, because Vicario is pretty quick. And you never know. He could get out there and get it. And if he concedes the penalty, okay, sure, but you're behind him, so it's at least not a red card. And then we're fighting, 2-1 down against a team that clearly are better than us. I mean, Crouchy put it perfectly in TNT Sports. He said the Palace team is a better team than Spurs, and I think that's totally reasonable. I think the Nottingham Forest team is a better team than Spurs. I think the Leeds team, arguably in some areas, is a better team than Spurs. But more importantly, what they are put together as, and we said this a couple of weeks ago, even when shit went wrong with Leeds and with Burnley, well, maybe less Burnley, even when shit went wrong with Leeds, they were still behind the manager. They were still thinking, do you know what? We will show up in the games that matter to keep us in the Premier League. Whereas Tottenham, they didn't show up into the league with that sort of attitude. They just went, let's just do the same we did last year. We finished 17th last year. We were
Yeah.
lucky that the other teams that came up was so shocking that we survived. We survived on a gnat's breath. We did, honestly, and we have learned
Mhm.
nothing. Learned nothing. That we've
Yeah.
had several bad transfer windows, and we've got players that got no bottle at all,
Yeah.
and we'll be in the Championship playing against Lincoln City next year with Maurizio Pochettino managing us. That's my prediction.
Okay. Not sure about Poch, but everything else I agree. And this is, I'm not going to go in too hard because I
Go
think, like,
in,
again,
go do it.
there's a,
Fine, I don't
no,
care.
but like, no, but because look, I'll be honest with you, I did really, I sort of, I know I made some jokes, but like, there's enough content about there out this. Memes are gonna break basically. Um, I think what the players look like. You've got to remember if you sign for Leeds, if you were Leeds at the start of the season and you signed for them, or you were West Ham, or you were even Forest. Let's be frank, you knew there's a chance. I mean, especially with like Leeds, and actually you mentioned Burnley. Burnley have kept fighting. All their players knew at the start of the
They'd be in a
season
battle. They
they were
knew
gonna
it.
be in a
Yeah.
battle, and you've gone in with like that. Spurs have sort of sleptwalked into this, but do you think players like Van der Ven, Romeu, Saar, Richarlison, and Richarlison went through a battle at Everton, but again, he knew that was coming. Kolo Muani was just going for PSG. Do you think any of these players went to Spurs thinking we're going? They look shell shocked. They look
Yeah.
completely shell shocked,
They look
and they
frozen in
know.
time almost. Like
Yeah,
they don't know what to do. They're like looking around. Their house is on fire, and they've just. I mean, they always say that there's two modes: fight or flight. There's not. There's a third, and the third
yeah,
is freeze. And that's what they've done. They've just gone. Oh shit! We have no idea what to do with this information. So therefore, our
yeah.
best bet is just to keep doing what we're doing, even though it's getting shocking results.
Mm.
And there's no
You,
leader in that dressing room that's just going, wake the fuck up and start playing properly, start working on the shit that you're getting wrong, and then go from there. Like, we do have a shocking injury list, but it's the
yeah,
second season in a row now, and there needs to be a conversation about what the fuck are we doing in the training ground, who the doctors are, how we're training them, all that sort of stuff. I think there's definitely a conversation there. It cannot just be bad luck.
yeah.
Um,
You also
but
took Arsenal CEO, and he oversaw quite a bad injury record for us. But what I would say
Well,
you are,
yeah, he's an agent. He's an agent. I'm certain
yeah,
of it. He's come in. He's
he's
just ruined
uh,
it. But I think
uh,
the ruins were already there. He's just solidified it.
one thing I would say is that you're particularly unlucky is, I mean, again, I agree with you. There's got to be something more going on behind the scenes. You haven't got Kudus and Madison. We also Kudus.
Yeah, yeah,
Kudus literally fought this last season, and like now again, he didn't go to Spurs. He'd go to Spurs to get away from this, but at the very least, he's gone through it recently. You'd say like,
yeah.
okay, Madison. Okay, Madison played relatively well for Leicester when he went
He's
down,
been relegated
and
before, hasn't he?
yeah, but at least he like at least he's gone through it and like
Yeah.
I think Kudus was the one who could have gone like lads, it's okay. I've been through this. I know you can do that, but it's not quite the same as he's not playing. But no, they just, as I said, they just look shell shocked. And if you read like Dave Kitson as a secret footballer, talking about getting relegated, he's like you can't describe how painful it is for players. It's not even about you and the fans. It's also like knowing that the tea lady's going to get in trouble and there's going to be
Yeah.
redundancies. And yeah, and again, if I was a Pedro Porro, who was considered at one point one of the best right backs in the league, maybe a bit overrated, but anyway, someone like that, or Van der Ven, for example, people were saying he's one of the best centre
Yeah.
backs in the league. All of a sudden, you're riding high, and then you're here. Like it's very difficult mentally to get over that, and the players are seeing it. And again, and you could just saw, and the worst with Palace is that Forest got a point, West Ham won, and then you just knew full well what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You knew
Yeah,
full well.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. We played on the Thursday, and literally we were like like a box of matchsticks. We had no brittle, nothing, right? But the thing about matchsticks, and this is a good analogy to continue on, is if you put it together, you can form very successful tension bridges and all the rest of it. This is what the engineers do in school all the time. You put together a load of weak shit, and somehow it makes it really strong. You become stronger than the sum of your parts, right? And the problem is that we are weaker than the sum of our parts, and it's just players playing for the next move. And Romero's widely considered going away to our opponents this evening, Atletico, for example. He could definitely tear it up in the Spanish league and just kill people over there. Van der Ven, he seems like he's properly spat his dummy out. But look, I think
that's worrying. Actually, yeah, you're right.
You,
There might be people saying they've called their agents already. Like that's not good.
yeah. So I think that where we are right now is in a really difficult spot. So they are my middling because the idea of Tottenham going down, even though it seems likely right
Yeah,
now, is still mental.
it is.
Um, Tottenham is
And
not a
in theory,
difficult
you've got these
fixture.
talented players. In theory,
This is
quality
not a
in theory
difficult
tells. But
fixture. If you have any play, I mean,
yeah,
we got Liverpool next. I would honestly, if it was a double game week, I'd triple captain Ekatike.
okay, fair enough.
Because we're not a difficult fixture anymore. We have a horrible record away at Anfield.
Yeah,
Like the best we've ever played is when we got the 2-2 and Victor Wanyama nearly broke the goal. Like that's the best we've ever played, and that was in the height of the Poch era. If we survive, and I said this last pod, if we survive, it'll be because other teams are shite, because Bowen gets
yeah,
injured, because the Nottingham Forest owner decides to do something crazy again. Like honestly, that's the reason why. And to be honest, if
yeah,
we're out of the Champions League, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing for the focus, for everything we're trying to do. We're not going to come back from 5-2 at home. If anything, it's going to be worse. It's going to be like the Bayern Munich game. But so target Tottenham, sell all your Tottenham assets, even Van der Ven, because they've given up. And there is no
yeah.
hope. I have no hope as a Tottenham fan. I did have one scary thought, and I'll leave it before we go into the rogue shouts. West
Okay.
Ham could win the FA Cup. Arsenal could win the league. Chelsea could get top 4, and we could get relegated.
Yeah. Chelsea could win the Champions League as well, for example.
Chelsea could win the Champions League.
Top.
Like,
Yeah.
don't pile it on more, mate. Like, honestly,
Yeah. Just spreading it
that
around.
is where I'm. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's what is potentially facing this fan base, and yeah, I don't know what I'll do with myself if that happens.
I don't think Arsenal fans. I don't know how Arsenal and Spurs fans would process this if Arsenal win the league and Spurs go down. Like, I don't think we'd know what to do. Be like, how do we possibly handle this much emotion in one go? I don't know. I guess maybe we'll find out.
I won't speak to you for a month, mate. I'm sorry. I do like you, and I get on with you, and I want to continue. Can I continue this podcast as a Spurs fan who's also in the Championship? I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out. Maybe season 3.
Of course. Of course. Right. My rogue shout. We've mentioned this already, and I'm just going to follow it up. My rogue shout is that Villa do not qualify for Europe this season.
No European competition at all. Not even
No
6th,
European.
7th.
No. So I think they are absolutely done. So
yeah, me too.
Right now, look, it is rogue because Brentford. So they need to get 7th. Everton have 43 points, and that's 8-point gap, and there's 27 to play for. So that is quite a lot. And Everton are weird. Everton are like in the relegation zone one week, and then in Champions League next. I can't understand their season, but anyway, we'll move on from that. Villa are just absolutely done. They've really been found out. Emery has been. It's a bit like Spurs actually with having a Harry Kane or a Son, really papering over cracks, basically. But like, they got pumped by Chelsea. Now Chelsea can turn up, but like that is not good. And again, I'll repeat this point. You cannot keep relying on Morgan Rogers to score worldies every week. It will catch up with you. You've got Buendia on the wing. Bailey came back into the team. I thought he'd been sold. Mings came back, doesn't look the same player. Cash is a bit inconsistent. No. And the big issue for them is Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins' years have finally caught up with him, or maybe people have worked him out. Maybe a bit of both. Martinez is crap. I don't care what anyone says. Emery has done a very, very good job of papering over the cracks with this team. But the fact that they went and signed Jadon Sancho, it tells you all you need to know. The fact that they signed Elliott from Liverpool and can't play him because of FFP, which is weird. Like, FFP has crippled some clubs, and Newcastle, for example, have made weird decisions. But it's there for everyone. Villa have made some very, very, very poor decisions in the transfer window, and Emery has covered it up. I think they're going to really, really, really struggle to the end of the season. They have Man U next. Their run is they're Man U next, and they have West Ham and Forest. We're saying now that's not
teams
good.
that have more motivation, more hope.
God, yeah,
again,
100%.
That metric is good. Yeah.
Sunderland again. Then they have Fulham, Tottenham, Burnley. But I think by then they're all going to be done. I think it's going to be a big. I think they're going to be sort of cut adrift.
Burnley away in game week 36 could be embarrassing for them. I could see Burnley getting something there.
And then let's say they have got a run in. They have Liverpool and they end the day on Man City away. Man City probably, we don't know, probably will need something in that game. So they've got a bad run. They're in free fall. Morgan Rogers, unless he finds a way of just, as I said, just scoring 0.01 xg goals every game, and a lot of them, they're just. I don't think they're going to qualify for Europe at all. I don't even think they're going to win the Europa League. I don't think they're going to Spurs it and do it that way either.
Yeah. I mean, I think that will be a real shame for them because that is a league that they should win. That really. I mean,
they're ranked second, but Lyon are top. So yeah, I mean they're by far the Europa League now is so Master League-y. I mean the conference is even better. The conference is the proper Master League. You're just like who the hell are these teams? But even the Europa League is gotten like that now with teams not dropping down. So yeah, they should. But again, I think that's going to distract from their league form. I think they're going to get. I'm going to think they're going to be doubly disappointed. And I also think if we're going to go a bit further, I think Emre will leave at the end of the season as well. I think he's been badly. I know an Arsenal fan, but I actually like Emre. I think given how bad Arteta was when he first came in, I think you could see the problem was the players and not the manager. Obviously, I think he's been let down. They've made some very very weird decisions. Selling John Duran, why? Buying Marlon and selling it. What are you doing? Like, yeah, I think they're in big trouble relatively.
Yeah, I've read somewhere that their financial fair play is not great. Their headroom is tiny. So that's the reason why they had to sell some of these players.
It must be wage issues. Yeah.
It must be wages. I think it's wages. Yeah. And they're probably going to have to sell someone like Morgan Rogers at the end of the season, and then he probably walks on that basis. I would as well if I was him. I'd take him at Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd be great in the Championship too.
Fuck off. Oh, Stephen. Prick. Got me. You absolutely got me. Yeah. And now my other computer's just turned on because it's so upset with me. Jesus. Okay, fine. I actually agree with you. I don't actually think this is this rogue. I think they are sinking like a stone. And I think that we could see... I think a couple of weeks ago I was seeing people say, oh, there's no way they can't make it. And I was like, see them. They're awful.
They can.
Absolutely, they can. And their running is not great. And I think I think they could down tools quite quickly, their players, and it could get quite sour quite quickly. And I think it's also because Villa is a big club. They're a very, very big club, and they've got a lot of expectation from the fans. And I think it's just one of those clubs that as soon as the fans don't think they're properly playing for the badge, as soon as that comes in, right, then it goes toxic really quickly. It really is pretty bad like that. So yeah, I actually agree with you. I don't think that's that rogue. I don't think it's a rogue at all.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, we're saying target Villa. Do not have any Villa assets.
No. I've got Morgan Rogers, but he's going on wildcard. He's gone. He's done.
Yeah. And target them. Target them. See them as like a Fulham, for example. See them in that regard.
Yeah. Cool. So my rogue shout to talk about is actually Sunderland.
Okay.
So look, Sunderland, I think, have won our hearts. They've won everyone. They've become everyone's second team to a certain extent. The atmosphere, obviously, if everyone's seen the Netflix documentary, but just the love of the game, in its purest form, we've seen it. And I know those people say, "Oh, football's gone; it's no longer there anymore." Sunderland has reminded us that football is definitely alive and well, because if it means
did have to spend about 200 million, but nevertheless, yes, I'll still fair enough.
Look, 200 million is pocket change for some of these teams in the league and some of the teams across the
world. They spent it well. They spent 200 million correctly.
They spent it well. I mean, 200 million is what, half of Cristiano Ronaldo's salary for the year. So, it's insane. So I think that what they've reminded us is that the passion of the fans really matters. The passion of the teams on the pitch really matters. Home advantage when you're a newly promoted club really does count. Leeds have done that to a certain extent. But my rogue shout is to sell all Sunderland assets.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So here's my thought process, right? So they're on.
You really set me up there. I thought you were going to say they're going to qualify for Europe, but no, you're saying they're going to go the other.
I had you in the first half.
You did.
40 points, -4 goal difference. They've won 10,
Yeah.
drawn 10, lost 9. So really, in theory, the next game they should lose it just to make it a perfect 10 across the board.
Sure.
Goals for 30, goals against 34. So realistically, I think that's what tells us, and we've seen it, is when they win, they can win big, but when they lose, they can get really, really humiliated. And we see the West Ham game 3-1, obviously losing to Fulham away, things like that. They really have some of those results in them, and we talked about that. But they're on 40 points. They're on that magic 40 points. They are safe, Stephen. They have done what no pundit thought they could do. None of us. We all thought, they've spent all this money. They brought Xhaka in. Are we really what? This ancient player from years gone by. Did we really think he was going to do stuff? And they've just been outstanding. And credit to them, credit to the manager, credit to the owners, credit to where they've how they positioned themselves as a club. I mean, they're top 3 players, and this says everything, and this is a good lesson for any teams coming up. Their top 3 FPL players have been McLeary on 115, Ballard on 114, and Roofs on 110. So it's all defenders.
Yeah.
It's solid players at the back, doing the right things, doing the basic stuff well, and then you've got a general in the middle in the sort of the experience of Xhaka, and then you've got some flair players up top like Tiboli and Adingra when he was there, but not anymore, obviously, and others. So sort of to do the rest of the work. So they've done it. This is what I say. Sunderland have completed the Premier League for this season, and that means that they don't really need to try. The other point I'd raise is that some of their players are starting to break down, right?
Yeah, they are.
Like Roofs being injured, I think is a big loss. If you can't trust who's in between the sticks, it's really difficult for defenders. McLeary's injured. A lot of their defenders were injured as well. Xhaka being injured for a long period of time really hurt them as well. So again, it kind of puts sort of.
They have a very thin squad. They have a very thin squad.
Robbie's injured. He was banging them in. He was doing really well. So I think that overall they have completed the Premier League. Their season is over. They can go off and be happy now. They can get the couple of wins here and there, maybe a draw. I mean, if they get 6 more points, they're fine. And if you said to them at the beginning of the season, hey, you'll get 46 points, you'll almost have an unbeaten record for half the season at home, they would snap your hands off and we'd be all laughing at them as a prediction. So my rogue shout is sell all Sunderland players because they've done it. They're over. They're finished for the year.
I have some sympathy with what you're saying, but I would like to caveat it with a few things. So caveat number 1. You're right. If you were to ask a Sunderland fan now, would you take 17th? They'd be like, yeah, absolutely. Like they still don't believe that they're 11th. And until the season is over, that they won't believe that. But they are also 4 points off Brentford, who are in 7th or in the Conference League. And I think that the team, and the manager in particular, they are looking, they look up. They don't have the same pain, misery, and suffering as the fans do. So I think that's a caveat there in terms of having the flip-flops on. I think Europe is still a chance to them. The thinness of the squad is the big problem for them.
It is.
Mukiele is a big loss, and they've also lost Ronaldo as well. I pronounce his name. So, I don't know who's going to play at left back. Probably Trey Hume again there, who does okay, but then who takes his place on the right back? He's gone to right wing. Yeah, the thinness of the squad has cost them, and in particular Granit Xhaka. But Granit Xhaka is bad. The difference between Sunderland without Xhaka and with him is unbelievable. They are completely different teams as well. And let's see how he is at the end of the season. I think he's gonna. Let's see. I think he's gonna drag them up. And their next few fixtures are, where are they? Brighton at home. They're at home. Brighton don't care.
Yeah.
The Northeast Derby.
Yeah.
Tottenham at home. Villa away. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I hear your point. I'm not going to completely dismiss it, but I think this team is more ambitious. I think when you get a player like Xhaka, that's a sign of ambition. I think some of the players like Adingra, I know he hasn't played that much, but there's ambition at the club. Then they want to keep going. And the next 4 fixtures are pretty good. After that, let's see, because they then have let's say it doesn't go quite to plan. Then they have Forest, Wolves, Man U. They're probably going to give up by then. But I think I hear your point, but I don't think quite yet. They can't give up. They can't give up for the Northeast Derby. They have.
Oh no! That's the last game. Maybe I should have gone. But that's the last game. If they go to Newcastle and get a victory, that's the last game. It's over. It's done from there.
And that it might actually be the worst thing for them because then they'll be like, "Oh, we really have done it." It's done.
Yeah,
Did the
they might
double,
be like,
did the
right,
double over the
guys.
mags.
I
Yeah.
don't. And do you know what? I think
I
the
do hear your point. I do hear your point
yeah.
though. But yeah, I think keep an eye. I think they're gonna keep going for a bit, and then there will be an inflection point. Let's say Brentford goes 6 ahead, and then they'll probably give up. But I not quite yet, I would say. But I do hear where you're coming
Yeah,
from.
I mean, maybe I've gone a bit early with my prediction. I
It
just
makes
think that
sense.
yeah, like I think that no one could um hold it against them. You know, if they do the double over the Magpies, I think that Sunderland fans would take
Yeah.
going to the games every week and getting absolutely shit faced and seeing shit football on the pitch. That's what they would take that. They would be like, yeah, fuck it,
Yeah.
who cares? We're staying in the Premier
Yeah.
League. We're doing really well. We're mid table and we can kick on next season. And, you know, I agree with you. Xhaka has been an absolutely outstanding signing, probably the signing of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
And, you know, he definitely can get them dragged all the way up. But at the same time, man loves a beer. Man loves a good time. Man loves, you know, the vibes. He's a vibes based player. I mean, when he's starting fights with fans at West Ham, like he's a vibes based player, right? So
He's a
I
hot
think
idea.
that just yeah, exactly, and on that basis alone, like yeah, that's why it's slightly rogue because I agree with you. There is a really good chance that if they get a couple of these players back, they could finish the season really strong and push for Europe. And do you know what? Fucking go for it. Brilliant. Love to see it. It'd be great for the league. But I just think that no one would hold it against them if they didn't do that. If they just went, look, guys, we've
Yeah.
done really well, and they
Yeah.
don't want to do too well because then the manager could get poached, right? Let's be real.
Well, I think it's already that he's already in trouble. To be honest with you, I mean, Rose is apparently already gone. People are
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Labrie, where's he gonna go though? I mean, what job's gonna be available next season? That
There'll be
on in the
no job like
championship.
managing Sunderland. There'll be no job like managing Sunderland, but you could see it where if
Maybe
they got into the
maybe
top.
abroad. I don't know, but I'm just
That's
trying to
what I
think.
think. That's what I'm thinking. Like they
Villa,
could get into.
maybe Villa actually. Villa could become
No,
available.
they. That's what I'm thinking, Steven. So they could be go into Europe and they get into the European position, and then like I don't know, some big Spanish club or big French club or maybe a Villa. I think Villa would be not a bad shout. But the thing is that it never will be quite the
And you,
same. He will be like a
yeah,
Thomas Frank at Tottenham in that sort of way, like, and it just won't work. But so for his
yeah.
sake and for Sunderland's sake, I really hope that doesn't happen and he stays with them because he could really build a legacy there, and that'd
Yeah,
be great to see. It'd be
I
great
thought
to
they did a
see.
good piece. I thought they did a good piece about this around low possession managers, and it just doesn't work at the big clubs. Frank,
Yeah, no, I agree with you,
Nuno,
hundred
and
percent,
there's
100%.
another one, and we obviously criticised Vincent Company for taking Burnley down the way he did, but look, he's gone to Bayern, and look, is he still there? Though? I'm assuming he's still the manager.
Yeah,
And
so
look
he's
what's
still
happened.
there. Yeah,
So look what's happened, right? Yes, it's Bayern. Yes, the kit man, but nevertheless, he still won. You know,
yeah,
they're still. He's laid down the markers on the Champions League. Let's see how far they go. But anyway, anything else?
cool.
Anything else you want to talk about? I think we've covered the elephants in the room
No, I
quite well.
think just fuck Tottenham's board. They can honestly fuck off and die and go away from my club. Give it back to the fans. Liquidate the club. I don't care. Like honestly, I'm done. And I really hope Arsenal don't them in the league. But yeah, anyway, that has
Sure.
been our Banker Middling Rogue for the rest of the season. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Remember, play it your way. Thank you to Rita for all her help with the editing, publishing, and all sorts. We'll be back next week with another pod, hopefully after Spurs winning at Anfield, unlikely, and Arsenal losing at, who have you got? Someone shit.
Everton at home, I think.
Everton. Oh, Christ.
Yeah,
So
Everton
yeah,
at home.
yeah, Everton at home. Okay, brilliant. Come on, Moisey. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. Have a great week, and we will speak to you next time.
Thank you.